First, we're going to go through all the parts that are in the box, or the pieces that are in the box. So of course we have a body, we have the swivel arm, the spray head, we have two T-fittings, and they come in individual boxes, so there'll be two boxes inside the master carton. We have a mixing valve. This is a standard mixing valve, not thermostatic, not pressure balanced. It doesn't need to be. Our pull-out hose, the weight, the quick coupler, which is a 1.75 flow rate, our mounting hardware. We do have a couple extra flex lines that will be used, and then we have the control module. Now, to go over the control module, we will open it up. So this is the control module itself. In this box we have the battery, 6-volt lithium CRP2, our adapter, swivel adapter, and then inside of this box, or this baggie, we have a seal, a couple screws to mount the control module, copper tape for the ground wire. This goes onto the mounting hardware, and this is where the control module actually connects up to our black wire, which we will get into as well. And then there's a little instruction page in here for the actual mounting. So to get started, we will start with mounting the faucet. On the bottom of the faucet, from the factory, we have the spacer. This needs to stay in place. We'll open up our packet of mounting hardware. We have this nut. And we'll thread the screw into the nut. There's the second screw. Now, per these instructions, we will eliminate the red O-ring, and we will use this black seal that comes with in that kit. And you can see there's two ridges. This ridge actually goes up and seats on the bottom of our spacer. So we will slide that up. There we go. That will just seat on the bottom there. Now we will take the hardware. We have the nut. We have a stainless steel ring. We will need this piece. Our black rubber seal, and we have a support. Now, the support can be eliminated if you are on a solid surface, which we will be mounting on a solid surface. This is used mainly when you're on a stainless steel sink. It will go on the underside of the sink itself, and it will eliminate some of the wobble, being the faucet is so tall and the stainless steel sinks are usually a thin gauge. It will just eliminate some of the wobble. So here, we are not going to be using that. So just to show real quick how this all works, we will slide this up. Of course, we'll have this mounted at the point. We will slide these up over all the tubes, over these plastic pieces, which can be a little bit of a challenge. Here we go. Put these up. There we go. And the last one. So just to show how this works, it will thread up, and you get this nut as tight as you can. Ooh, there we go. On your mounting surface. And once you get it hand tight as much as you can, then you thread in the screws, which will push on the stainless steel ring, firmly mounting the faucet in place. So that's our next step. So on the underside of the sink, you can see that we now have it mounted up. We have the screws as tight as they will possibly go, so the faucet is secure to the countertop here. We have these insulators pulled down, and these insulators are here so that metal won't touch metal. If metal touches metal, you can get what they call ghost turn-ons, and that means you'll be sitting there and all of a sudden your faucet will turn on and probably turn off by itself. So now we'll continue on with the mounting of the control box and the supplies and whatnot. With the control box, there's a black wire that will go onto this tab. So being we're using this wall here to mount the control box, I have the tab facing this way so we get the longest distance out of that wire that we can. So our next step is to connect our waterways. So we have these T's. I already have the one on the cold. I'm going to do the hot here real quick. But at the same time, we're going to go ahead and put our mixer valve on. So the mixer valve is showing hot and cold inlets. We'll thread this onto the T. And before we mount the T, we'll go ahead and take our hot water line and connect it onto here. Thread our T down onto the stop. Our next step will be to take from the cold T to the cold inlet of our mixing valve. We'll thread this on. There we go. We'll bring that right over to the T fitting. And we'll take the cold water supply, and that should reach. And we're good. Our next step will be to assemble our control box. To do that, we just need to adapt this wire, this clip, onto the tab here. And that just pushes on like that. And then our swivel T connector, which we'll thread on. There's an O-ring seal there. And we want to get that tight with our channel locks. There we go. And keep in mind this does swivel, making it easier to connect our pull-out hose. And then the important part, this is the inlet to the solenoid valve. We send a filter with, and we do have extra filters if needed, if it gets lost or gets full of debris. If debris gets in there, it will hold the solenoid in the open position. That's why we put the screen. If the screen fills with debris, you will notice on the touch feature when you activate the touch that you will have a low flow. And it's probably the screen here. So you can remove the hose, remove the screen, clean it, or put a new screen in. So our hose will connect up here. Okay, so our next step is to mount the control box. To do that, I suggest you start with installing your wire, your black wire. Now you can see it is only so long. You cannot extend this wire, you cannot splice it. We don't have an extension for it. This wire is this length for a reason. So we're going to take our plug, we're going to put it onto that stainless tab that I showed prior that is facing this way, and then we will decide the location of our control box. The next step is to actually mount the control unit. I have the black wire connected to the mounting hardware underneath the faucet. Like I said, we have the length of this black line here, black wire, And we also have the length of this supply line actually coming down from the body of the faucet, which it connects up here. So you don't want things taut. You want them a little loose. So what I'm thinking is we will just mount this box right in here so we can push the wire out of the way, and these supply lines can make a tight connection, a good connection. So that is our next step. So with our control unit mounted to the side of the cabinet, we can go ahead and make our final connections. So our mixed water line down from the faucet, we want to go to our swivel connector, and just thread that on. Okay, and then from our mixer valve around, we already have this hose connected here to the inlet of the black box or the control box, and this will just thread on. Okay, and then our ground wire, the yellow wire. So, being we are using a stainless steel sink, and with the stainless steel sink we have no undercoating on it, we can go ahead using the copper tape, connect direct to the sink. Now some sinks, they do have an undercoating. It's a noise reducer coating. It's on the bottom and it goes up the sides of the sink itself. This wire needs to make a firm connection or a solid connection to a metal piece. So you can't mount to the sink. Here we would suggest that you go ahead and you mount to your cold water stop. So you would cut this off, the loop off, strip the wire back, wrap it around the cold water angle stop, and clamp it to the cold water angle stop. But in this case, we're going to go to the sink. So I'm just going to peel this off. There we go. I'm going to place this in the center. Then I'm going to put it right to the side of the sink. And here we have a lot of slack, so we can actually bring the wire up and pull it out of the way. Our next step will be assembled from the top side. So we want to connect the head to the hose, and you can see on the inside of the head there's a screen in there, and the hose will just plug in, and we thread up the collar. No tool, hand tight. And we take the male end of the hose, thread it down through, and then the male end into the faucet body, and this will just snap down At this point, we'll take our weight and thread, loosen the screws so we can slide it up over the hose. And then we thread on our coupler. And here again, hand tight only. And then the coupler goes onto the swivel connector. So when we make this connection, we want to make sure all of our hoses are pretty much out of our way. Couple tugs, make sure that she's on there. Like I said, make sure all your hoses, your wires are out of the way, and then take your weight, and on the upside, meaning going up to your faucet, go ahead and mount your weight. And this will ensure that the head and hose will retract properly and smoothly. At this point, I suggest just going through, making sure all your connections are nice and tight. When they're all nice and tight, you can turn on your angle stop. Once the angle stops are open, 99% of the time, water will be flowing out of the faucet. That's a good thing. So at that point, you can snap your battery in. The solenoid will turn off. You can see the red lights on. We have power. Do not touch the faucet or anything below the sink for 2 minutes. At this point, it is learning its environment. After the 2 minutes, you can go ahead and touch the faucet. The touch feature should activate. You'll have water flowing. With the water flowing, you can come below and set your temperature. You just turn this gray knob clockwise or counterclockwise to your desired temperature. That will be the temperature that the faucet will flow every time you touch it. I'd like to go over just some of the features on the touch faucet. So one of the features is we can change the sensitivity. From the factory, it's set at a medium, a number 3. We can go up to 5 for most sensitive or down to 1 for least sensitive. You may need to change the sensitivity because sometimes humidity will play a factor in the fact that when you touch the faucet, it just won't activate, or you just barely touch the faucet and it activates. To get into the menu, to change the sensitivity, you go to your control unit, and I left the cover off so you can see the little button there. You press and hold the button for roughly 20 seconds. Okay, and it should flash 3. Yep, so we're in a medium setting. We can take it up to 5. 4. One more 5. 2, 3, 5. Down to 1. 1. Let's go to 2. And we'll go back to number 3. So whatever setting you want it at, 1 through 5, once you reach that blinking, so for number 3 medium, 3 blinks, just let it time itself out like it did. Now you're at a number 3 setting. When the battery is low, and the battery life is approximately 3.5 years, family of 4 using it, of course it depends on how often the touch feature is used, but when the battery is low, you go to touch the faucet, it'll give you 3 spurts of water. 1, 2, 3. That's telling you the battery is low and it's time to change it. Like I said, it's a photocell battery. It's a 6-volt lithium. Product number CRP2. You can get them at almost any store. One of the other features is you want to clean the faucet, but you don't want it to turn in while you're trying to clean it. So you can grab and hold faucet for about 5 seconds. Now you're in clean mode for 2 minutes. At this point, you can touch the faucet anywhere and it will not activate for 2 minutes. After the 2 minutes, you'll go back to whatever setting you had it at. So if it's a 1, 2, or 3, 4, 5, you'll be at that setting and you can start using the faucet again. I'd also like to mention that the touch feature has a 1-minute runtime. Meaning you touch it, it will run for 1 minute. After 1 minute, it has its safety shut off. That time cannot be extended or decreased. It is at a 1-minute runtime.